Devil All the Time, review by Couples Film Therapy, Episode 2.
Hello, welcome back to Couples Film Therapy. I am Jenny.
And I am James.
And we are introducing ourselves this time because we noticed we did not do this last time. So for anyone who doesn't know us, this is who we are.
In our defense, Tenet was a very confusing movie and we were still confused when we made that review.
Yeah, so we kind of forgot about who we were. Today we're going to be reviewing Netflix's new movie, The Devil All the Time. It is a movie adapted from a novel by Donald Ray Pollock.
Oh, spoiler free. So you guys are good to watch this if you haven't seen it yet.
Alright, so The Devil All the Time is a movie about sister characters converge around a young man devoted to protecting those he loves in a post-war backwoods town teeming with corruption and brutality. Personally, this movie I thought had to do with more demonic things.
I know, and I saw this. I guess
I didn't read the synopsis.
Yeah, I didn't read it either. I just watched the trailer and I thought it was going to be a weird church cult.
Yeah.
It does deal with religion a lot, so it is.
But
it way different than I thought it was going to.
Yeah, it did not play out at all how I thought it would be.
This movie has a very star-studded cast, including Bill Skarsgård, Tom Holland, Sebastian Stan, Robert Pattinson, Jason Clarke.
Who's that?
Jason Clarke is the guy from Planet of the Apes.
Mia Wazowski.
Was that the little name?
Riley Keough and what is that? Something Bennett. Haley Bennett.
Haley Bennett. Yep.
The Jennifer Lawrence lookalike. That's what I think about. This movie was actually pretty jam-packed. And the director of this movie is Antonio Campos. He doesn't have he's more of an indie director, I'd say, right?
I wouldn't say indie. I don't know. It seems like he hasn't. This is his biggest movie for sure.
Yeah.
I looked at his resume. I can't talk. I looked at his resume, and I had never seen any of his movies. So either I'm behind, or
What movies does he have?
Looks like this guy's mostly just produced, honestly.
So anyways, this might be his biggest film yet in his career, or maybe even the first one he's
Looks like
directed.
it's the only second one he's directed, I think. I may be wrong on that. If I am wrong, go ahead and prove me wrong in the comments. I'm okay with that. But it looks like this is his second movie he's directed.
So for his first movie, or second movie?
Second movie.
It looks like he had a pretty good cast. I mean, this is an Oscar-worthy cast.
And the cool thing about this cast is we've all seen him in way different roles. Mm-hmm. So you gotta see him act really different and just stretch their acting muscles a little bit. Mm-hmm. So that was really cool to see.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely think this movie's gotta be Tom Holland's it's pretty good acting. He's a good actor, I'm going that. I'm not sure how I feel about him as Spider-Man yet, but he's a good actor.
This definitely proved that he was like more than just an action hero.
Well, that's any kind of actor that kind of dives into these movies.
But he's young, so you know that's all we really. That's all I've ever seen him in as Spider-Man, and seeing him in something like this was a fresh air. He did really. What?
The ring light. I just see circles everywhere.
It's okay. We can do this.
The movie is based in a small, weird, unknown town in West Virginia.
Meade was a town.
No, it's West Virginia and Ohio Meade. It takes place in both. Ohio Meade is where the main character, which is Tom Holland, it looks like this movie is really revolving around the life around him. Grows up in a small town in Ohio, but the movie does start off with Bill Skarsgård, right?
Bill Skarsgård.
Bill Skarsgård. It starts off with him, so it kind of takes off from his life to his son's life to the people around him that have interacted with Tom Holland's dad's character.
I felt like the origin part of this movie was like longer than most origin parts.
Yeah, I will say the beginning of this movie was a very, very slow burn. I agree.
It was definitely not a popcorn flick, but it was.
But it was interesting. Like I even turned to James when I said it. I was like, this is kind of like really, really slow. Mm-hmm. But as slow as it was, I was still interested because I wanted to find out what the heck was going on or where the story was going.
And the actors really pulled you in.
Yeah, and so I think they did a good job of doing that.
It's definitely a movie based on a book. Even before I knew, like when we were watching it, like it ends like based on a book. I already knew, like I bet this is based on a book.
I already knew that.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I knew that.
When we were watching, I was like, I bet this is based on a book because it felt like you were going through chapters.
Yeah, it's just the beginning of the movie really tries to tie in every character, kind of tries to bring back their backstory and why they're growing up in the circumstances they are, or why things are going to happen, so they can tie in. And that's why I figured it was a very slow burn.
Yeah.
But there is definitely a first act, and then there's a second act for sure. I definitely think the second act is where everything starts to tie in, all the loose ends in, all the characters together.
The movie starts out pointing this out. It's not really a spoiler that all these lives that are really far away and they're really not supposed to be connected, they all end up interconnected. There was one story I think they should have left out. It was probably in the book. But
was it the sheriff?
Yeah, one of the sheriff story, like the sheriff, not taking the sheriff out, but there was a part of his
and the sheriff
story,
is played by Sebastian Stan,
which he did really good. He kind of got chubby for this role.
I think a lot of actors got chubby for these roles.
Yeah, except for Tom Holland. I'm used to seeing these guys with six packs and stuff, and they all kind of got a little bit bigger for these roles, but besides, like there was one of the sheriff's side stories I felt was pretty worthless. I'm sure it's one of those things that was in the book and had a lot more to do with it.
Yeah.
But I feel like for the sake of this movie, they could have taken it out because it was just kind of.
It was pointless. It had no point in the story. So
it didn't line up with the point of the movie.
Yeah.
Where everyone interlocks, and then they had everything interlocked, and then they had this one random thing.
Well, the movie does, like I said, it starts off with Bill Skarsgård. Kind of follows his life through until an event happens. I don't want to spoil it. But
this movie is centered around tragedy.
Yeah, it is very tragedy based. So the tragedy basically kind of follows his son. So after Bill Skarsgård is no longer in the picture one way or another, I will not reveal how that happens. The story kind of moves on to Tom Holland. Tom Holland grows up. He moves away with his aunt for certain causes and reasons. And he, grows up to be kind of like this rebellious or troubled soul.
But he's very likable.
But he's a very likable kid. Like, there's a story behind him that makes you kind of root for him the entire time.
He's very protective over his sister, but they're kind of like the outcast family, so they get a lot of grief from the rest of the town.
So this movie kind of goes on a little bit about that, And so eventually comes in Robert Pattinson's character, who plays the preacher at the church his grandma goes to, and he goes to as well. He plays a very, what would you say, false.
He's a false prophet, and just to pause on Robert Pattinson, I can't believe this guy's Batman because he had the squeakiest Southern voice for this.
Everyone in this movie had the weirdest West Virginia accent,
and they did it good. But it's like, wow, that's gonna be Batman.
Yeah, everyone talked like, Grandma, can you say something in your West Virginia?
Well, he was like, "These chicken livers." That's how he talked. I don't know. I can't do it. Of course, I'm not.
He talked very squeaky, like. I can't do it. You can do it better. You're doing it better.
The chicken livers show that someone here is poor. And I'm like, this is Batman? This is the guy, I am vengeance. I'm like, yeah, man.
Yeah.
He's just a good actor.
It's kind of funny. The accent's actually.
It was a little funny.
Quite a bit.
But this movie really centers around Christianity.
It's a movie of weird fetishes and bad religion.
Yeah, this is
This is one of those movies that makes you think, wow, religion is really a big thing in the world. It either makes good people or makes bad people.
Yeah, it's not, and I don't think they did it in an awful way. Like some movies that try to criticize religion, they do it awful where it's like, oh man, it's not that bad. But this movie did a good way where you're like, I've kind of seen that before. Not this extreme, but I've seen that before. And it did do a good job. And of course, this is all based on a book, and I feel, and the guy who wrote the book, you can tell he's from. I think he's from.
He probably is. He has a lot of
town, or this part of the country, and so I think he was. It's pretty interesting. I would actually like to read the book. I think, but I feel like it's one of those books that's about that big.
Yeah,
and I probably never get through.
it's one of those books that is only interesting because they made a movie about it. But once you read the book, it's kind of like, because a lot of those characters I did not find interesting. I found only maybe 2-3 characters out of the story interesting, but a lot of the characters they tie in or throw in the movie are just kind of like one scene wonders.
My one criticism about it's supposed to be all these random things, but I feel like some of the things like there's a photographer and like they have a weird fetish thing going on.
Yeah.
And it just seems random, but I guess that's the point. But it seemed kind of random. Like I felt like they had these really cool themes, but they kind of just didn't do a lot with them, or they didn't explain, or I don't know. It seemed random, and it seemed like you're just drudging on.
I agree. So, what is one good thing you say you would like about this movie?
I feel like just for the slow burn of this movie, the actors really had to be on their A game to really pull you in. Because I feel like if the acting hadn't been on spot, I would be bored. But the acting was so good, where you really just cared about these guys' stories, even though it was kind of random stories. You did care.
Yeah.
And you wanted to find out if they were going to be okay. The actors really did numbers for this movie, where I think the story faltered.
I'd have to say I like the way the movie made you care for small characters, because there was a couple of scenes where I was like, damn, like, I feel bad for that character. Mm-hmm. So I think the movie did a really good job of making us feel emotions for the characters. Now there's other characters that we made us feel like, I hate these characters.
Yeah.
In the way, what the actions that they're doing. But like I said, this movie had nothing to do with what I thought it was going to have to do. I thought it was going to have to do with like demons and I thought Robert Pattinson's character was the actual devil.
Yeah, I thought
like,
I thought he was gonna be a cult leader, and I was way off.
But if you actually think about it, he is kind of, because of the things he's doing in the movie. You know, he is kind of alluding to like he is the devil in the church. So we'll let you see that for yourself. But I think it did a really good job of doing that.
I think I already said, like, there was some stuff that just felt really random. Like, there was side plots that didn't need to be there.
Yeah.
And then there was also just stuff like they were going to do those certain stories. They could explore themes with it, which they didn't.
Yeah.
It almost was like horror themes without being horror at all, which was kind of boring.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that too. It was like...
Really, the only character I really liked following was Tom Holland's.
Yeah, Tom Holland's character is probably going to be my favorite.
Because his whole...
He has...
His connecting to Bill's character, that was all interesting. And all the side stuff, I kind of just didn't care about 100%.
I agree.
And that's where I stand with this one.
It's not a horror movie.
It's not a horror movie. It's not scary.
If you're not into horror movies, then this is a movie for you.
People said there's like 2 times I was disturbed, but they said this movie is just full of disturbing stuff.
I wasn't even disturbed the entire time.
I wasn't disturbed.
No,
I think I was let down by my expectations for sure.
You know what? We should make our scale be top 10 you need to watch in cinema, and 1 is you need to wait till it comes out on Redbox or Netflix. So on a scale of you have to watch this in the cinema, or you can wait till it comes out on Redbox, what would you...
And it's 1 to 10?
Yeah.
I would say 5. I would say...
5, wait until it comes out on Netflix.
Yeah,
we should
which you could have totally watched in
Netflix.
I don't think this is a movie that's a fun theater movie for sure.
Yeah, it was kind of like...
And you don't have to wait long for it to, like it went from theater, Netflix.
Yeah, this is one of those movies we kind of came out and like, we didn't talk about it. We just kind of went home.
There's not much to theorize on it. Not even the themes to me were enough to... There are cool themes in it, but it's just not enough to theorize and have fun with it. So that's where I stand on this one.
I agree. I'm at a 7 just because the acting was good. So I would say that. And Robert Pattinson wasn't it.
Yeah, but Robert Pattinson sucked in this movie.
Yeah, he was not that attractive. But either ways, that is our second review. So
subscribe, comment, follow us on Instagram. We try to keep up the Instagram with stories and be interactive. So go join us there. We have a lot of fun there so far. So
and if you like seeing a not Asian woman and the white men talk to each other.
Not Asian woman?
I'm not Asian. I'm just gonna go ahead and put it out. I'm not Asian, Japanese, Chinese. Or
I'm
you
just
can
white.
edit it out. And he's white. I'm actually very Mexican. So
very. But thank you guys.
Thanks for watching it, and hope it wasn't boring.
Comment what you want to see us do next.
No, don't leave this in there.